Hello, everyone, and welcome to One Liners, a series centered around key influencers and players in the performance marketing space. My name is Joey Liner of Liner Connections. I'm just fresh back from LeadsCon and have a great lineup of killer friends and partners to kick off after the show. And so, my first one is a really special guest. Bruce Morrow from its Lead Grow Sell, which is formerly or by myFoodChain, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. But Bruce, just to give a little backstory, Bruce is a good friend. He is a mentor of mine. He's an executive coach, and he's really helped me in my life. And I just want to express tremendous gratitude and for him and what he's done for me and my success. And Bruce, welcome to the show, my friend.
Nice to be here, dude. Nice to have survived and thrived in Vegas. It was cool.
Yeah, Bruce hit up his first LeadsCon, and man, it was great to see you out there. And we're going to talk about that because you've talked to a lot of companies and worked with a lot of folks in the performance marketing space, but you've heard us all talk about LeadsCon. That was your first live
Yeah, dude.
experience of that. We'll get there. But first, just so everybody, I know you obviously very well, and a couple people in our circle, our mutual circles know, or myFoodChain know us pretty well. But can you tell us a little bit about your, what my or Lead Grow Sell is, and the name change from previously where I had worked with you,
Yeah.
myFoodChain, to Lead Grow Sell. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. And myFoodChain worked for us for a long time.
Yeah.
And it was based on the fact that you can manage about 150 relationships, and I call that my food chain. And I've taught people how to manage their relationships, how to enhance their relationships, how to build their relationships and grow their relationships, and also letting people drop off that should not be on your food chain. That's the reason for my food chain. And it's a great concept. It's still a working concept. It's one of our teaching points. But Hartman wanted to rebrand. Hartman's my partner. You know him well,
Yeah.
dude. He wanted to
Yes.
rebrand for a bunch of different reasons. And I was resistant because, your ego's tied to the stuff that you created back when you were a kid and all you're proud of it. And it worked. But the point was that people weren't understanding what we really did. And so finally, what really got me, besides Hartman gently nudging me, I started to get all these AI messages
Yeah.
about how well I was doing in the food service industry. And dude, those AI guys made me just, you know what? I'm changing my Hartman's right. We're going for something
Yeah.
else. And we worked on what we thought it should be for like 2 days. He and I independently. And when we got together, guess what? We were both saying lead, sell, grow. And it was a done deal. That's our new name, lead, sell, grow. Why? Because all we do is help leadership teams and sales teams grow professionally and personally, and it accelerates growth in every area of life. And dude, in this industry especially that I've decided to get more involved in, it's all about accelerated growth.
Yeah.
And it's all about, if you have the proper leadership, you can grow. And if you develop the proper sales system, you can grow. And it's like, hey, and then the sky's the limit. So I like this industry because it's young, it's fast, it's
Yeah.
hungry. There's money to be made for legit players.
Yes.
And so that's the reason for the name change. And that's the reason why I jumped out to Vegas, dude. This is the first time in Vegas. This is the first time at LeadsCon. And I'm 75,
Yes.
dude. So
It's
guess
amazing.
what? Yeah,
It's amazing. Well, tell us a
I'm
little bit
having
about
fun,
those.
dude. I'm
I know
having
you
fun.
are. I know you are. Tell us a little bit about that 75-year journey. So I was fortunate, guys, to meet Bruce, Joe and Fernando, the founders of Digital Media Solutions, DMS, had when pre-pandemic, I was traveling to our home office in Conshohocken. Um, Fernando had mentioned that he had worked with Bruce for executive coaching, and he was just surprised that I had never worked with an executive coach. And I said it was a nice benefit as on the senior leadership team. as soon as I met Bruce, it was just like we were, and his partner Dave Hartman. I just saw that like there was he wasn't afraid to share with me the first impression flaws or just positives and negatives, just things that he saw in me that could easily help me develop. And did I had never done that before, and I felt like it was a huge benefit. And Bruce, you've been doing this for a very long time. You talked about, uh, our space, and obviously it's young and nimble and can move pretty quickly. But you have a tremendous. But you always say when people on calls with you, I'm just a kid from Pittsburgh trying to make it.
Yeah.
So like, tell us a little bit about your story, man. How'd you get
Okay.
here? Yeah.
Well, I am a kid from Pittsburgh, man, and I'm proud of it. Everybody from Pittsburgh's proud of being from Pittsburgh. I just don't do the Steelers Ravens fight all the time. Now I'm too old for that stuff. So I'm not going to give you a hard time, dude. But, I grew up and I came from a broken family. My dad was an alcoholic and a gambler, and he took off on us, and every once in a while he'd show back up. And I remember as a little kid, like just and I was a little kid, little and vulnerable and scared, and my dad was the scariest thing I ever saw in my life. And my mom loved him so much. And she was, even when he was a bad guy and taken off, she'd tell me stories of how he was, where nobody would bully her. Nobody would pick on her or her friends because of my dad, who was like only like 5'6" or something. So I knew he was a badass. And as a young kid, I said, okay, I'm scared now, man. I can't fight back, but at some point, I'm going to get bigger, and I'm going to learn how to fight back and stand up for myself. And I remember, when my mother and older sister were kicking me out of the house because I was just like loafing and stuff, playing ball, and they made me go get a job, dress up in a suit, and go get a job. And I went walking around the streets of Philadelphia or Pittsburgh,
Yep.
knocking on all the big corporation doors, coming in and say, I need a job. So I went into Bell Telephone and they said, hey, what do you want to be? And I was 19. I had been kicked out of school again. I was 19 and I said, I want to be the boss. This HR guy, he was like a 30-year-old black guy, comes running out laughing. He got the dude, we're going to put you in sales. I was just happy I got a job. I didn't know from nothing, man. Okay. And they put me in sales, and I love sales because it was just like playing ball. You know what? If you got it, you can win. You got a chance, and if you don't got it, you're going to lose. And it's real evident, and you're in public all the time.
Yes.
And I learned how to perform under pressure. And I always I was an overachiever in sports. I wasn't the best athlete, but I was an overachiever. I would hustle. I would fight. I would do everything ethical to win. So, and I just took that attitude, and I had something to prove. I was a kid. I was now a man. You know what? And this was in a day when if you were a guy, you fought the wars, you got the jobs, you protected the women, you protected the children, you took care of the grandparents. I mean, that's the way it was. It's like, dude, it doesn't matter. You're now of an age, you got to take care of everything.
Yeah.
So I got the extreme ownership concept early. And thank goodness, because I knew I was responsible for everything. And it was pretty scary as an 8-year-old kid and now as a 19-year-old kid. But guess what? That was the world I grew up in.
Yeah.
So I just decided I was going to do or die, like we were talking about earlier. It's like, okay, I'm coming through. And, if I get taken out, and it didn't matter whether it was sports or somebody challenged me to a fight. I used to get in fights in the office in a suit because I was insecure. I was very insecure.
Yeah.
And I now had some power, but I didn't know how to harness it properly. I was a dumb kid.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So I can relate to kids that are growing up that don't know how to do everything. And in this industry, a lot of them can make so much money at such a young age, but that's not all there is to life. And I like to help people make more money. The right people will make more money because they'll do more good. But guess what? It's a process. It's like everything else. It's like this new book I'm studying, Organized Tomorrow Today. It's like, it's all about process. And I learned a long time ago, dude, if all you do is focus on them yelling at you about not hitting the numbers, if that's what you're going to just take yourself down, because I knew a bad attitude not going to serve me well. It's going to get me in trouble, and I'm not going to get what I want out of life, and I'd just be a schmucktoast. And I didn't want to be a schmucktoast. That used to be a word that started with an A. Okay, I'm cleaning up my language, Joey. I told you, dude.
I love
Never
it.
too late to clean up, man. I'm
I
in the
love it.
development. And then everything that I did, it was like it was about taking chances. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, when I was young, I took too many stupid chances.
Okay.
Okay, I'm very fortunate to be alive, not
Yeah.
maimed, not in jail. I really am. And because of my mother, who's up in heaven, still
Yeah.
looking at me and now very proud of me. It's like, okay, help those kids. And that's what I do. I help kids. Anybody less younger than me, dude, anybody who's 74 down
As
is
a
a kid to me.
kid. I know.
And when I position you as a kid, it's hard for me to get angry. It's hard. I used to always get angry at the adults. The kids were under protection, but the adults,
Yeah.
no protection, and I'm coming through. And it took me a long time to learn how to just be a reasonable human being, but I did it because I wanted to be. I had my mom's good influence on me, and I had a lot of good mentors and coaches and people that would put up with this crazy kid who was just scared and wanted to achieve.
Yeah.
And I had some great one of my best mentors was a guy named Sam Nixon in Pittsburgh, who's my sales manager at Bell Telephone. I was working for Bell Telephone, and I was a crazy man. And it was like back in the day, those rules were different. But this guy made sure, because he had two sons about my age, and he knew how to get my attention. He was like the only guy I didn't mess with because I respected it, and I was always looking for father figures to help me, older brother, father figures. So, and I made a lot of mistakes in my life, but that's part of how I learned. And
Yeah. And
I'm still standing.
amen. Amen, brother. And so you transformed all those learnings and life experiences into coaching and different and with the passion behind sales and business development.
And
And I ran
constant
in
study, dude. And constant study.
constant
These are
study.
real
Yeah.
books. I read
Yeah.
real books. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
it's really helped. Yeah.
I know it. And as you coached me, I'm not a big reader, but as you coached me,
Right.
you would give me tidbits or areas where I would look that would help me understand better, have a better idea of how to make some changes
Yeah.
based on what you observed. And so, like the cool thing about just a backstory, guys, from when I was at DMS in 2019, I was pretty much traveling every week or
Oh,
every other
man.
week. It was
I
crazy.
remember, dude.
It was
Woo.
nuts. And we had 10 different business units, and Bruce was really helpful for me reporting up and down because he knew that I had, to work with the executive leadership team, Joe and Fernando and other key players, that I had to make sure I was servicing them. But also, I had to build and train up a staff at DMS. I needed help. I really needed help. And it was just perfect timing where as soon as the pandemic hit, we had lost one of our head of inside sales, and you were pivotal in helping me build out the inside sales program. You really woke me up to building and training and grooming internally, and being able to do that remote. Like we were working
Yeah.
together through this. Why you kind of talked about it, but like you already talked about like your life experiences and learnings and kid definition, but why is it so important to look at building this internally in today's world, for sales?
Yeah. Well, there's several reasons. I like to keep it simple. Think of it as a family, and you've got children. And you have to do more than that, just teach them how to do a job or make money. You have to. You have to. And I see the same things with young people coming in. It's their first job out of college a lot,
Right.
that SDR program. They were
Yes.
all little kids.
Yes.
Okay. And they were like the rest of us when we're little kids. They're excited, they're nervous, they're scared, they don't know what they're getting into. And what I find is if you can get them young before they don't have a lot of bad habits, especially bad values, because there are a lot of people that teach bad stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. If you get them like that, number one, you mold them into whatever image you want your company to be. That's huge. Okay. And you also develop the moral strength, the values. You get consistency. You get internal growth that can fill other slots. It's what I'm doing with some of my clients right now, like Ringba. Ringba
Yeah.
is a top leadership company. And you
Yeah.
know why? Because they invest in these young leaders and they teach them how to lead. They teach them how to be SDRs. They teach them how to be valuable contributors in the community that they serve. I get chills, dude. You
Yeah.
know, it's listen, I hang out with a lot of cool people, and none of us is perfect. We know. We know,
Yeah.
yeah, we're human. But you know what? It's amazing what humans can do, these imperfect humans. And I guess because of my background, where, a lot of people jumped in to help pick this kid up and help him keep
Yes.
him alive, keep him out of jail, keep him safe, keep him fed, that kind of thing. I appreciate that. And I feel an obligation to give back. And that's because of my mommy. I mean, I know the reason why I clean up my act is for my mom, my sisters, my sons, all the little kids in my family that are looking up to me to be the man and not a schmuck toast.
Yes.
And you got to live it. You can't just say it. You've got to be it. You've got to live it. You can't just mouth it. And people that
Yes.
know me, Joey, you know me, and Fern knows me, and Adam Young knows me, and Rob Cammy knows me, and Dave Hartman knows me. I'm not subtle.
Yeah.
I'm not subtle. Everybody knows I'm like a brick through the windshield, but you're not going to ever get BS from me. You're going to get the truth, and I'm there to help. And if you don't want me around, you put a bullet in my brain and I go away. That's all. And I've
Yeah.
always liked that since trying out for the Little League.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Yeah.
And I will say, for me, when you were coaching me as CRO and we were building this team internally,
Yeah.
as you know, like a lot of all CROs out there, you're constantly putting out fires, you're constantly trying to true up this billing issue or this tracking issue,
Oh,
or
and the
because of your
demands of a board
relationships.
in a public company and
Yes. And
like, yeah,
administration, just it
hard.
can hurt you. But when I saw some of the SDRs get that meeting, get that sale, it was the most rewarding feeling.
Exactly.
It was so rewarding. It felt like a
You
million
see your
bucks.
kids develop, dude.
Yes,
You see your
yes,
kids develop. I love going
yes.
to the show, seeing all these kids that I worked with coming up to me, give me a big hug.
I know
And I
it.
used to be a hugger, but I told Hartman, this is a hugging industry, dude. Deal with it. Okay.
I gave eight what's our 181 hugs.
Hey,
I
there you
counted
go,
them.
dude. Yeah. Yeah. That's probably in
It's
an hour, dude. I know how you are.
um
Hey,
you
listen,
know,
it's about development. It's,
it
you know
is.
what? If you're a leader, you have to raise the level of the people around you. It's your job. It's your job to develop people. It's not
Yeah.
just to make a profit, it's to develop people. And I'll tell you what, you develop your people, profitability is guaranteed.
Yes. Yes. Amen. And
Guaranteed.
a guaranteed development for me every week when our coaching sessions, I'd show up with preparation, right? It's all about
Yeah.
preparation, planning, and
It was
uh
demanded, wasn't it? It was
it was
demanded.
demanded.
Yeah.
There was a theme. There was a theme, which was
Yep.
you had always instilled in me the power of three. So
Yeah.
I'd have to, report back on three things that from, that or say three things that, happened throughout the week from the previous week, or if we were every other week. And then what are the three things that I wanted to focus on for? So
Yep.
what's the relevance and the backing of the power of threes?
Well, the power of three is it's a magic number, first of all. There are some magic numbers for human beings. One's 3, one's 1, one's 3, one's 7. That's why phone numbers are the way they are. You got 1 dash 3 numbers dash 3 numbers dash 4 numbers. So it all does the 137 thing because it's easier for the brain to retain. It also, Joey, here's the most important thing. It makes you prioritize immediately. You know how most people got a list of 500 things they're going to do, and they get
Yeah.
all the easy ones done, and they keep adding to the list, and these ones that are real important never get done.
Yeah.
Well, I'm into, you got a long list, you prioritize it. That number's too big, you prioritize it again. So if you got 200, I've got a list of 200 people to call. I don't just go starting with the A's. No. Okay. I do the 20-80 rule. What's 20% of 200? That's 40. That's still a big number. What's 20% of 40? That's 8. Pick 8 people off this list, put them in order, and call them. Because if I call the most important people that can do what I need done first, there's a better chance that it happens sooner. It's called accelerated growth. When you prioritize and you put things in order and you don't try to do everything, I'm not going around showing people how to be the busiest sucker in the world. I'm showing them the same thing I did. You want to be the laziest, best paid guy in your organization, but you must do it ethically. And there's a way to do it if you're smart, if you're trainable, if you got the courage of your convictions, and if you're a high character guy. And if you've got courage and you're trainable, your character automatically increases. It's a beautiful thing. I'm into dealing with universal laws of success, dude. That's all. Let's figure out the universal laws and then let's share them with as many people as we can to give a darn. And if you don't give a darn, fine. This is America. I'm just getting away from you because I give a darn.
Right. Right.
And I don't want to get in any fights anymore. And I know how I am. I'm still sometimes like a 22-year-old guy that's coming through. And, I got to behave better. That's all. That's why I'm developing the Mr. Charm thing and not swearing so much.
I love it. I love it. Let's talk about today's workforce a little bit. I mean, I think, we lived through the
Yeah.
pandemic, and I'd love to give you some of my takes, and I'd love to see if you agree. Or in 2021, in 2022, companies were hiring like crazy because they were catching up with a lot of folks that were shuffling from 2020, where they call it the Great
Yeah.
Resignation,
A
right?
lot of
People were
change.
a lot of change.
A lot of change.
2021,
Yeah.
22, people were hiring. Then we heard the signs of inflation in the economy, and a lot of companies have had to suffer and do layoffs
Yeah.
and right size their businesses. It's a pattern of end of 23 going into 24. And there's a lot of folks out there looking for jobs today. So my advice to folks out there is they have to be really willing to wear multiple hats. They can't show that they can't expect 2021 or 2022 compensation. But the biggest thing for sales is what I'm seeing, and you taught me this too, is people are not picking up the phone. They're still
Right.
hiding behind email. And you had always taught me and my team that we had a call. Why aren't salespeople doing that? What are your thoughts? Is it just they're
Yeah.
lazy
They're
or
brought up, dude, they're brought up in a world where the first 20 some years of their life, it's all devices and digital. And, the kids standing 10 feet away. I remember the first time I saw that. They're texting and I'm saying, what are they doing? Oh, they're talking to each other. They're like 10 feet away. I mean, so they've been programmed much differently than we have, but
yeah.
they're still human beings and they still
Yes.
respond to connection. Here's the reason why I went to LeadsCon at 75, okay? At first time in Las Vegas, because I wanted to connect with this industry. I wanted to go and make a connection with the hitters in this industry. And I found out from you and the other guys that I listened to, that's the Super Bowl, dude. If you're going to go someplace, and you guys have been on me for years, you got to get there. You got to get there. You got to get there. And I'm like, nah,
Yes.
it's too hard. Okay, especially when we're in shutdown, dude, and I'm
Yes,
locked in
yes.
my library for 3 years or whatever. All right, well, you develop habits, but they've got bad habits. That's all. They were trained and they developed these things. They're not bad kids. Here's what I'm excited about, Joe. I've dealt with a lot of them over time. And
Yeah,
I like these kids. I like the kids I'm hanging out with. That doesn't mean that everybody's going to be a great sales guy. Doesn't mean that everyone's going to develop no. But every time I get involved with new kids, and I'm involved with 20 somethings all over the place now.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And at one time, my policy is I'm not dealing with 20 and 30 somethings. No. But guess what? That's back in the day when it made sense to do that for me. Doesn't make sense anymore. And I already look at the impact I've had on a lot of young people in this industry. And I was like, man, there's more where that comes from. And there are some people, because I have a lot of people that give me their opinion in and outside the industry. A lot of people say, dude, man, that industry, I don't know, that's a shaky industry. Da, da, da. Well, I'm asking. They have their perception. I've been living in this thing. I talked to a lot of guys in the industry, and I went to Las Vegas and I proved it to myself. There are just a lot of cool people in this industry. And yeah, we're all weird. We're all weird. So if you see some weird guys over there doing weird things, it's like, okay, I'm a weird guy over here doing weird things with the weird people I hang out with. I'm okay with that. You know, I learned, and this is my mother teaching me, honor the differences. It's the reason why I get so offended by all this. No, no, no. We're all human. Come on, let's work on how we can get along, okay?
yeah,
I'm a fighter too, but you know what? Just because I can beat you up doesn't mean that I should bully you into submission. This is America. I don't care what side you're on. I don't care. I don't like bullies. And that's another thing. There are bullies in every industry, but I'm not seeing an especially large amount in this industry.
yeah.
It's people are people are people. But I find this industry exciting. They've responded to me. People have responded. And as you know, dude, it's like you sell to people and you buy from people. It's all about the people. You're not selling to a company. You're not selling digitally to AI. You're selling to people. And I love AI and what it can do to develop things. But I'm also concerned about the other side because I'm a
Yes,
smart guy that's paying attention.
yes. Amen.
That's pretty
Amen.
much what I want to do. I want to be a good person and I pay attention.
Yeah. You absolutely do. And so what is a good in today's world for business development? What is a good way to try to what are some of the tactical uh tips that you give to these young, sales professionals for trying to stand out? What is a good,
Well,
good
yeah, it's pretty much what you said before, dude. Quit hiding behind email, text, digital devices, social media. No, don't hide behind it. Utilize it, but don't use it exclusively and think that you don't have to make human connections. You got to call people. You got to call. If you don't have the guts to make phone calls, then you're not going to be great in this industry. I don't think, because this industry sells calls, buys calls, makes calls. It's like calls is a real thing. Okay. So if you're not getting the results, listen, if you're blowing away your results, you do whatever you're doing.
yeah.
I can live with that. You don't have to listen to me at all. You just blow away your results. I'm cool with it. Okay. But if you're not, quit giving everybody such a hard time about them trying to help you do the right thing. Pick up the phone. You know, in your groups, Joey, those
Yeah.
back at DMS, they had to to
Yes.
keep earning their space on the team. They had to make X calls, and it was always a big number. And I was always okay. They're hitting that number, jack it up, because
Yes.
that's how you accelerate growth in anything. Think about it. Here's where you get your most sales experience right now in the marketplace, especially if you're not doing as much face to face. It's phone calls. It's the most human connection, whether it's a video call or an ear to ear listening call, it's a connection with a human being. And if you want to be really successful as an SDR, you develop that skill and you never give that skill up. I love the fact that I got a bunch of cards, dude. Now, they're not cold calls, certainly.
Right.
I didn't need cold calls. I'm
Right.
not cold calling. I went out and spent lots of money in Las Vegas to get
Yeah.
cards and to meet
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've got videos of my party because nobody had cards and I didn't get the QR code thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm an old guy, dude. Okay. But I'm getting it now, dude.
You are. You are.
Yeah.
And,
You got
did
to
you
get on the phone. You got to make human connections. And now that the market's opening up, face to face is the best way.
I agree. And I told that to an
And it
SDR
hasn't
at
changed for
LeadsCon.
75 years that I've been
It
around.
hasn't. It hasn't. And the problem is too, and I told this to an SDR at LeadsCon, I was like, hey, your email may have a ton of value and content in there. The problem is that it's just cluttered with everybody else's email. If you call me, I love when people, I said, when
I
they
do
call,
too,
I'm
dude.
like, hey man, thanks for calling. Tell me what you got. I'll give you a couple
Yeah.
minutes and I'll tell you straightforward, if it's relevant or not, for me, but I want to hear
Yeah.
what you got. And I appreciate the hustle. I mean, that's how you and I have been, like, to your talk about your journey and your careers. You got to grind, you got to hustle, you got to learn. And it was just one of the things that I also really appreciate from you and Dave was how we constructed our coaching sessions with our team, is because it's not just fluff and advice. You actually would get tactical. You'd ask the team to show up with some examples in their sales pipeline now, and you'd give them real-time advice with how they could overcome some of the objections. And sometimes if they got to know, that's okay. We learn from it, right? But you gave the team and I, like, the ability to work through in a remote environment. We actually took the time to get out of the grind and to actually learn together. And that was really helpful. I
Yeah.
really appreciate that.
It's the best training, Joey, I've learned, because I used to do the sales training, but now it's the sales strategy, the live sales strategy with real accounts where everybody gets a chance to participate and everybody's learning on one specific account. And Joey, it was so cool. You'd have loved it the other day. I was on a call with a client in the Midwest. There's like about 8 hitters on it, and we're strategizing a couple. And it'd be like, okay, Nicole, go make that call and let us know what happens. We'll plan the next thing. Nicole goes away. She makes the call. She connects. Okay, I'm going out there right now. I'll let you know what happens. And it was like, dude, it was so exciting. And everybody, you could see these young guys like, whoa, this stuff, we saw it happen in front of our very eyes.
I love it.
So yeah, what I really love, dude, I'm only doing 3 things now. I coach, I train, and I strategize. And I'm telling you what, the best way to train and coach, especially young kids in group that's more protected, that's more safe, and there's more feedback, is sales strategizing live. And there ain't that many people that do it as well as I do. And I know it
Amen.
because I
Amen.
love it. I love it. I love it.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah.
And anybody who's watching, I have Liner Connections has a direct partnership with Lead Grow Sell and myFoodChain. So we've been partnering and working with consulting companies together. If reach out to us, we're obviously happy to engage. I can definitely absolutely share the success that I've had with Bruce and Dave, and a lot of other companies within our space. So let's talk about LeadsCon. Dude,
It was great.
amazing that 75 years old, never been to Las Vegas, never been to LeadsCon. You've heard us and all of your clients and partners talk about it the last 5,
Haven't
6,
been out
7
of my
years, whatever.
library for 3
Yeah.
years, dude. I don't even go down the office to see Harmon.
So I would love a first impression, take, right? Like you talked about, obviously, it's an interesting crowd, right? Like there's all walks
Yeah.
of life. But what was your first impression? What's your take?
My first impression was the buzz, dude. It was just there was a low-level buzz going through the hotel and stuff.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, and I'm a human and I pay attention to my feelings. I pay attention to my gut reaction to the thing. And when I walk into something that feels good, I know it's good. I start to look for why it feels good. Just like if I go into something, it's like, whoa, dude, there's something wrong here. I pay attention. And it's like I don't even have to figure it out. But if this continues, I'm out of here quick like a bunny. Okay. Because it's just, and I've learned to do that more as I've gotten older and I have more experience. So my intuition that's based on experience really serves me well. And I use it. I use it. And I suggest that, especially young guys should use their gut reaction more often, except when they're getting angry. That one, dude, kind of control a little more, but otherwise, pay attention to your gut. Even when you're getting angry, just don't get in a fight.
Right.
Okay. So the buzz was cool. And the youth.
Yeah.
And it reminded me, it was very cool. It reminded me back in the day, and I was in the telecommunications industry. We used to go to Washington, D.C. for the National Association Telephone, whatever.
Right.
Okay. And it was always fun, but at that time I was younger, I was more volatile, I didn't appreciate things the way that I've learned to appreciate things, and I still drank, and I drank a lot.
Yeah.
So, but all the good things of that kind of stuff, the buzz, a lot of happening things, business takes place here,
Yeah.
because that's what I'm looking for. I want to make sure I'm going to places where business is going to take place. It doesn't have
Yes.
to take place immediately, but it got to take place sometime in a near future. And that was the feel that I had immediately.
Yes.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Because what was funny was, dude, I check into my hotel. I was there Sunday. I go up to my room. I come back out to go down. I forget what it was. I'm going to the elevator, and all of a sudden, and it must have been in the morning because there was a bright, it was like sunlight behind.
Yeah.
Bruce! And I see this guy doing this, but I couldn't see who it was. But obviously, he knew. And then I get closer. Cliff. It was Cliff Libby from DMS. And it was like,
Yes.
yo, dude. So he's the first guy. See, then I go down. It's in the morning. I'm looking for tea. So I go to the center bar where we, and next guy I see is Chris Pink sitting there having a cup of coffee. Two ex DMS. It's like two DMS guys
Yeah.
that I've done a lot with, and it was like, so that was a good sign, dude. The first thing I see two guys that I like that I've worked with, and they're accessible. It's like, okay, this is going to be a good show. I'm already seeing people I want to see.
Yeah.
And so and then I was out there from 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. I flew back the 11th and I couldn't get enough of it, dude. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, when I got home, I was shot,
Yes.
but I
Yes.
was screwed up. I woke up at
Yes.
3 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
like stone awake. Like, what the hell? I'm exhausted. But you
It,
know
it,
what? I knew it was going to take some recovery,
yeah.
but it was just an excellent show. The buzz was good. The
Yes.
light was good. I saw business happening. I got leads, got a bunch of
Yeah.
leads. I got appointments. It's like, whoa,
I
maybe
love
I'm
it.
working too hard now, dude.
I love it. It's hard to come down from that adrenaline because it's just like the
Yeah,
adrenaline rush is just I
it is.
and I migrated right back into my family life, but it's like takes you a couple days because the energy is so strong. And
Yeah,
thank you for hosting a networking event Monday night during the national championship. You guys had
it was
first of all, you
great,
had
dude. It
big
was fun.
screens, you had amazing food, like really
Yeah.
good high quality food. Like I've been to, every single lead scout. I've been to so many conferences where you just, you eat the kind of the buffet food or finger food,
Yeah.
for this was really good food at Tao. And
It
you
was,
and
and
Rob
by the
Kimmy,
way, a shout out to Tao and Zoe at Tao in the Venetian. They did just, man, I
it
couldn't
was
tip them enough
it
when I
was
was done,
awesome.
dude. It was
It was
great.
awesome. And Rob Kimmy, you guys coordinated such a great event. But
Rob and Kyle and yeah.
the power of networking and what you actually said, and I love this as a first timer. The over the years that I've gone, I've scheduled so many meetings, I've been to all the sessions, content, where you try to balance that schedule. But the impromptu, you know, pop-ups where you just see somebody who
Yeah.
and you can even have a 5-minute conversation, just changes the game. It
Yeah.
changes the game because, like you and I talked about before I started recording, there's no other forum that has that many decision makers and that many key players in the performance
Uh,
marketing space under one roof for 3 days. It's
yeah.
absolutely unbelievable.
It really is, dude. And when I checked out the rates to exhibit out there, I may have to exhibit next year. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah,
But
it's
it was great because when you get to see a lot of people that you like, trust, and appreciate
yeah,
up close and personal in an environment you've not seen them in. Like it was really exciting to see Fern out there, you
yes,
know, because it's been all remote for me. I mean, I've been remote for a long time. You know,
yes,
it was nice to see Adam Young and his minions
yes,
all around it. It just was nice, man.
is amazing.
See you scurrying around, coming to my party. I loved it,
Yes.
dude. It was great. It was great.
Uh,
And I think we did a lot of good, and I think we sent out a lot of good vibes. And I think that,
yeah,
and I know that all of us are going to benefit by it, even if we don't know right now how. I
yeah.
just know you send out good stuff into the world, it comes back in spades.
Amen. Amen. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, go. I do better, but I was to say you just to go off that you guys like you rebranded but you stressed to me that you want to continue to grow within the performance marketing space.
Yeah.
Where is your vision? Where is your passion now in this next chapter of your life, your business? Where do you guys want to take? What do you want to continue to do within the performance marketing community?
Well, very selfishly, what I want to do is I want to develop as many kids as I can. I want to develop kids to be a better version of themselves as much as I can. I do it in my own family. I do it in my own community. I do it on, kids addicted to drugs.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really passionate about. And what's so cool is I can take the skills that I've developed in business and do that because I'm a better version of myself than I used to be because I learned how to become an ethical persuader. And you
Yes.
know what? And now I'm a much more reasonable version of myself. And I will use one bad word because I tell people I'm a recovering asshole. When I was younger, I was no, dude. I did not have the appreciation, and I was scared and insecure. And man, I was always fighting and challenging everybody. Now it's like, no, no, no. I don't want to fight. I want these kids to have a better life. This
Yes.
America, what a big advantage to be alive and free in America. Let's make it the best life that we can have. And I get to do it with young business people that want to become leaders, better salespeople, and accelerate their own growth. And my thing is this: as I accelerate young people's growth, personally, professionally, it's perpetual. It's perpetual. It continues to grow. And so I set goals to change 1 billion people's lives for the better. Okay. And I gave myself a nice out: change 1 billion people's lives and incomes for better here and hereafter. So when I'm gone, my stuff will continue changing people's lives. And I'm into that, dude. And like my older son said, Dad, you're pretty happy. You could die happy now. Yep, I could. I don't want
Oh,
to, but I could.
yes. And you got plenty of years ahead. I know that.
Yeah,
I,
exactly,
I
dude. I'm working out like a
love
sucker.
I love working with you, and I will say, thank you for spending this hour with me. I really appreciate the time, and I
You're
will say
welcome,
this
Joey.
again
I
to
appreciate it.
anybody within our food chain, right? Is that because going back to tying the
Yeah.
business together, if you're interested in speaking with Bruce and Dave about assistance in business development and building out your team or executive coaching, please reach out to me and Bruce. I will absolutely make sure that you are in good hands. I know these guys work extremely well, especially knowing the performance marketing community. They can tie in your challenges to what, not just general sales training. This is actual tying into real life performance marketing coming off of LeadsCon. I love it. Before I let you go, dude, before I let you go, Bruce is a huge baseball guy. Huge, massive. He has a collection, collectibles. He's a kid from Pittsburgh, big Pirates fan.
Satchel
What
Paige, Berto.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. What's your early take on the season and who you think it's so early, but who you thinking for the World
I
Series?
got the
We're gonna go
answer
back and
already,
reference
dude.
this.
I got your answer before you had 3 words out. But before I do that, I want to let people know if you want to get a hold of me, I'll give you my cell phone number and I will return calls and I will
Yes, you
return
will.
texts. I'm
Yes, you
not
will.
scared of it. It's like, you know what? 610-745-3019. I'll repeat that for you slow writers. 610-745-3019. And I suggest to all you young SDR people, you do that. Your number at the beginning, your number at the end, because you might get a call back. Okay, now to your question, Joey. Here's what I always root for now. Since I live in Philadelphia, and it's easier to follow the Phillies, and they've been more exciting than my Buccos back in Pittsburgh, I always want the same thing. I either want the Yankees or the Orioles and the Phillies and the Buccos in the World Series.
Okay.
Period. Why? Because my Buccos in 1960, my favorite all-time team, beat the dreaded Yankees with Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris on them, and I got to scream my lungs out for Roberto Clemente. Okay.
I love it.
And then we beat the Yankees. And then in the 70s, we beat the Orioles.
Yep.
And those were the two American League teams that I was more familiar with because we played in the World Series. Because back in the day, there were 16 total teams, 8-8. One guy went to the world, you know the drill. So that's what I root for. And fortunately, I included your team, dude, but I include your team anyway before I knew you. That's my answer, dude.
I love it. Thank you. And I want to thank you again, for coming on. I think it's amazing. Hopefully the Leads Count folks will take a listen here, because you have a 75-year-old first timer who's just bragging about the success of the show. And it's great to have you as a friend, as a mentor, as a partner, all the above. I really appreciate you, Bruce. Thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely, Joey. You know what, dude? Yeah, you're growing on me, dude. After 5 or 6 years, you're growing on me big time. I have to admit.
I love you, buddy. Thank you, man.
Fan. Go Ravens, dude. Go Ravens.